off. Okay, good. All right, welcome everybody. We've just gone live here with Artem from one of the co-founders guests from Renault, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of questions. Hi, sorry, I'll let you say hi. If you guys are in the audience, please do write some questions, as I stated, inside the comments. We're looking forward to doing a little bit of a deep dive. This is their first live AMA, so a really great opportunity to kind of learn about Artem and about Renault and find out what kind of different things they're doing in this space, because we all know this space has gotten a little bit nutty right now. So I'm really excited to have something with some revenue sources, some real life revenue sources, and that are doxed. And as you can see on camera, live and proud for us, which is awesome. So if you wanted to start us off maybe just with a little description of who you are and as a person, as opposed to the protocol, and then we'll get into the protocol a bit. And maybe if you have a little bit of info on your co-founder too, feel free.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Artem. I'm a co-founder of Renault. My other co-founder name is Ilya. I knew him since we were 12. I personally have 4 years experience in crypto space. So I've been in 4 years involved with NFTs, crypto trading, made some money for myself, saved some money. And I have 2 years experience in e-commerce as well. I was running a Shopify store and a drop shipping store with my other mates. I'm not involved in that much in e-commerce now. I'm fully into crypto. And I decided to create a project which would be linked with real world assets, and property was one of the things that kind of I had in mind. And we created Renault, and I'm excited to tell you more about it. And my co-founder Ilya, he is an architect and some sort of an expert in the real estate industry. He's currently based in the UK, and I'm currently in North Cyprus, where the project will be starting at property acquisition, which I'll tell you more about later. And regarding our origins, we're both Russians. We lived in Russia until we were 12. Then Ilya, he moved to Sweden and later on to UK. I personally moved to USA, lived there for 2 years, then moved to the UK, lived there for 6 years. And for the past 6 months, I've been in North Cyprus here.
Nice. Okay, so lots of info there. That's great. And again, nice to see the transparency. We're already starting off on the right foot. So I guess before we get into the nitty gritties of it, I guess actually let's maybe go that route actually, because I was going to go through what sets you guys apart, but I think it's probably better to get a little idea of what you guys are doing. So maybe the overarching, we call it a 1,000-foot view of what you guys are trying to accomplish and what utility you're trying to bring to the space, and what problem are you trying to solve, if one. Basically, if you want to go into that.
Okay, so when I was in the NFT space, a lot of problems that I faced was the utility provided would be linked to something digital that would collapse in like a month or a year or something like that, which is not very reliable. So what we decided to do is go into real estate, because everyone needs a head above their roof. They always did, they always will. And it's something conservative. So we decided to link it with blockchain technology, and in a shape of you buy an NFT from us, and we provide you an ROI on your initial investment annually after we do a scaling phase. So how we plan everything out is, after the mint, the funds we acquired will be used to purchase properties here in North Cyprus. We'll be aiming at purchasing properties that require maybe some renovation or refurbishment, that are under construction, and that are located in the most developing areas that are mainly long-term rents, because that would create a stable yearly cash flow for us. So we're planning to have a scaling phase for what we want it to be is 6-7 years, because from our calculations, which could be found in our white paper, we believe that in 6-7 years, we'll be able to provide our holders with 10% monthly or 120% yearly ROI on initial investment. What I mean by that is, if you purchase on whitelist, the cost of our NFT is $500, and 10% of that is $50. So $50 monthly from one NFT after the scaling phase. Again, if you purchase on public, that will be $660 monthly. for you to get. This is our plan with the payouts to holders, and then we have the ecosystem plan. Ecosystem is not linked to payouts. The plan for the payouts and the ROI is just purely the properties, and it's ready to be executed. It's all planned out.
Okay. Just maybe to back up just a bit, just we're not getting too deep in the woods, but
yeah, sure.
so with the NFTs, then, if I understand you correctly, there's a purchase of $500 or $600, and the revenue on that is going to be 10% monthly.
Yeah, but we'll be paying out yearly as it is real estate, and we think ideally would be annual payouts.
So we'll be waiting to get that ROI until the year is done. So you're holding it, which is, I think, didn't understand that the first time when I was first listening to you guys. So if I understand it correctly, then I'm going to buy that NFT. I'm not going to see any revenue from that for a year, because you guys are going to be investing that money in these properties, which will require renovations. And then once you guys have had a chance to start earning on those, we'll get that payout at the year. Now, is it guaranteed we're going to get that 10%, or are we looking at possibly more or less, depending on how the performance works? Because the first year, it could be a lot of money out and not money in.
Yeah, this is what we're doing. Basically, this is what we need a scaling phase for. As we mentioned in the white paper, there will be a scaling phase where most of the profits, it will be 95% exactly, of the profits are reinvested back into acquiring more properties, increasing our revenue and cash flow from those properties. Each year, we'll tell our community, hey guys, this is the ROI we can provide to you this year, and start payouts. The amount from, like the percentage amount of profits that will go towards payouts is between 60 and 65%. So no more than that will go towards the payouts. And based off that, we'll tell you what ROI we were able to provide this year. How it works is we'll say, for example, after first year, we say, okay, guys, we can provide you 1% on your initial investment. Like, this is how things been. We can provide 1%. If community decides, yeah, we want that 1%, then this is what will take place. And most of the profits will go back to the holders, but then some profits will still be reinvested to still grow the property portfolio.
Okay, so, but either way, I guess, for the first little bit, and the scaling phases you said was 5 years, sorry?
So with the scaling phase, we ideally want it to be 6-7 years.
Okay.
Because we believe that in 6-7 years, we'll be able to provide those 10% stably and easily.
Okay.
But we can start it earlier, but with a less ROI. So it's up to community what they want and when they want it. If they want more, like than 10%, then absolutely we can do it, but we'll need more time to scale more, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to make sure, because I just like to be as clear as I can for everybody that's joining in, especially, I mean, I'm sure we have some community members which might already know some of this, but then there's going to be some people from my community that don't. So the idea then is for the first year, really, your money's basically sunk cost. And then within that year, you'll do some numbers up, and based on what you can pay, which could be very little, to warn everyone right now, the first year, because you're growing, and it could be very little for multiple years. I expect, I mean, as much as you guys are giving a 5, 6, 7 year scalability, depending on how you manage it, you could possibly have better payouts earlier. But I actually own rental properties, so I understand. Sorry if that noise came through. I understand the rental business, and I do appreciate the fact that you are being very open and transparent about the longevity of this, because as much as this can be very lucrative, it's not an overnight sensation usually. If you were to flip the properties, you could get some really short-term gains, which then, again, like you're saying, and I like the idea of reinvesting that money in future, but you're not going to get that longevity that you're going to get out of renting, like you're saying. So that's great. We have a few people that are, a couple people asking the same question, but I guess we'll throw that up for a quick second. I do have some other things I want to get into, but so how many members are working on your community team? I think I heard that, and you can maybe embellish. Really, right now, it's the two of you.
Yeah, right now in our main team, it's just two of us. If there's extra services we need, we employ people to do it. Like, we have a Discord manager, we have some guys helping us with our socials. Plus, here locally, we personally know a few realtors and lawyers which will be helping us with everything legal wise and sourcing for the property wise, as they will have the best understanding. Most of them have one have 5, and others have 7 years of experience here in North Cyprus. They're locals, so they know all the ins and outs and will be willing to help us, obviously for a pay. When they're not just doing it because they're good people. They're good people, but they're just not doing it for free, as a charity. So yeah.
And then with and Cyprus, I guess I don't know the area that well, but it sounds to me I have heard enough about it in the sense that it is crypto friendly, which is helpful for this, which makes sense. And I'm assuming if you guys have done your research and you live there, you'll know that there's opportunity for this kind of thing. Because I know at where I live, you'd need a lot of capital to start making any real income in this space because the prices of houses have gone through the roof. Interest rates are rising quite rapidly. So it would be hard pressed to get something. Is that the economics where you are, does it cater more to this right now?
The economics regarding real estate and the real what's happening here now it's a bit uneven. So you won't get like the same across the board. There's a key areas of development where you could purchase a property for higher than anywhere else in North Cyprus, but in relation to the rest of the world, the prices are really low, but the rents are just like in those other countries. So this is why we chose North Cyprus, actually, as we're looking at different markets. And I've been visiting North Cyprus previously, so this is why we decided to go for it as well originally. Here you can get those returns much faster than in most other real estate markets. Much faster than in the UK and much faster than in USA and stuff like that, because it's a developing market. Of course, it may involve extra risks, but for the past years, it's been growing rapidly. I can't remember the exact numbers now, but I think we mentioned it in our white paper. It rose, I think, by 40% over 3 years, the property values, as it's becoming even more and more popular for tourists coming here. And the rent skyrocketed quite a bit as well. But it's still at lower than it would really be once everything is developed.
Okay, cool. And that's the things you want to see. And like I said, I've seen that in my markets, but this is not the good timing in mine, but that's good that you guys have looked into that for you. And I am Supersonic just said, how many profits do you make? I presume you don't really know that yet. There's really no way to identify it yet, but as long as you're smart in your acquisitions.
Established an estimation and projections in our white paper based on market research we did and the current state of the market and market in previous years. Where you can open it up and see it for yourself in the white paper. I just don't want to go into numbers to not get them confused and misinform you guys.
No, that's all good. We don't need to go this is really to provide information for everyone. And then from there, it's up to them to do their research. I just like to be a platform. And this is how I get to learn about projects because it's hard learning about all of them when you're trying to do this and a full-time job and everything else. So I will get back to some questions I had, but Seraph is just asking whether you guys are looking to launch a token in the future.
Yeah, we do. That's very strongly linked to the ecosystem we're planning on developing. I can go deeper into the ecosystem if you want now, or we can go into it a bit later.
Let me go through a couple more things with the rental side of things, just because I do know, again, having some experience. What kind of properties are you guys looking at? Are they mostly single units? Are you looking at multi-residential, commercial, a mix of all? Are you going to be using them as bed and breakfasts, or not bed and breakfast, but B&Bs per se? How are you guys looking to structure that?
Sure. So we're looking to acquire mid-based properties, which range from $80,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
That's a 2.
And is that equivalent of US dollars? Sorry. Is that the equivalent of the US?
80,000.
Yeah. Is that? But are you using that for people's understanding? Is that like 80,000 US, or are we talking a different currency?
US dollars. US
okay,
dollars.
Perfect. Yeah, just so they know.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, US dollars.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So it's mid-term properties, 2 3-bedroom properties. They're the most popular ones here in North Cyprus, and with a lot of migration here. Actually, it's happening. I've personally witnessed it when I was getting my residence permit here. They wasn't prepared for such inflow of migrants, and it's like very long lines and a lot of people here. So we're looking at acquiring the midterm properties, which are most popular for long-term rentals by people coming here for work, study, and generally enjoying life. We mainly focus on long-term as it will provide a stable income.
Yeah.
However, we're also looking to go into Airbnb as it will increase rental profits we may get
Yeah,
by
it's
quite a
definitely
bit.
slightly more risk, but yeah, your income can be quite
Yeah,
more lucrative depending on
yeah.
the property.
Our main focus will be, of course, long term, as
Yeah.
we're trying to stay conservative and position ourselves as a conservative investment.
Yeah. Okay. And rules and stuff with that kind of thing with Cyprus, it's you guys said you had a legal team, so obviously you're already looked into or looking into how the structure of this company will be okay with stuff. When it relates to tax purposes and stuff, is there anything when it comes to international investors that they need to be worried about, or because you're doing it in crypto, you can kind of avoid all that stuff?
Yeah, because you do it in crypto, you can avoid those stuff.
Yeah.
With taxes here, it's very easy in a way.
Nice.
They're not very strict, and with international investors, there is absolutely no taxes that needs to be paid. So that's quite easy. They're not regulating that sphere much. So
Yeah.
despite it being crypto friendly, there's not much regulations regarding that
Nice.
here.
Perfect. And then I guess just to quickly go before we leave and go on to the ecosystem and stuff, because I do want to spend some time on that
Yeah,
for you and
absolutely.
have you guys have some opportunity to go into that. When it comes to the management of the properties, are you going to be like, I don't know what they have out there. I know here, obviously, I can hire a property manager to take care of it. It costs me more, but then I'm not spending my time because I maybe have to do other things like my job and you guys running this protocol. So is that the kind of thing you'll be kind of looking to outsource a lot of this stuff? Again, costing more, but making it easier to run.
Yeah. So here, with most apartment buildings, you would get management with it.
Okay.
There'll be someone managing the property for you. But if it's going to be something like we need to go to the property, do something ourselves, we'll be able to do it by us, and realtors that we trust could help us out as well. As I'm here currently based and living here, my co-founder, he is going to be moving here as well. So both of us are going to be here, hand on to everything.
Perfect.
And North Cyprus is a very small country. To get from one side to another, like the furthest from the furthest, that would take you about 4 hours max.
Oh wow. Okay. I knew it was small, but I didn't know how small. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it'll be easy for us to go like to a nearby town and check anything out there. The areas that we were looking at, I can name you the location, but you might not really understand where it is.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
okay. Yeah.
Eskile and Kyrenia. It's more of like beach areas, which are really
Sure.
developing currently. And they're both quite near me. It's like 1 hour drive and a 20-minute drive.
Nice. Okay. And well, I guess before we get into everything, we'll jump into the website here quickly and just show everybody. So I have your name face right there. So obviously, as I said, these guys are Doxed, which is a great pro. Any further than that? I do see there's a Doxed ID IO badge. So who did you get to dox you?
We got Doxed.io. They gave us a Doxed badge, and we have it in the wallet that's provided there on the website.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
So yeah, we just doxed ourselves with them. And also, I wanted to answer regarding a question you had about us using debt and using our purchase property as collateral.
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it would be a good thing to do regarding scaling. But of course, it will involve risks. It's something we definitely looked into and thought of, but then it provides extra risks. So we're not planning to go into it as of now. But once we scale more, we might use some percentage of the properties as collateral for debt. Of course, if we find good interest rates, and if it's going to be something that we need, because if we're scaling fast enough, we might not want to acquire that extra risks, for a bit faster scaling.
Yeah, there's goods and bads. I'm not a I'm a fan of borrowing if it makes sense, but you do have to be very cautious about it, and maybe not
Yeah.
borrowing like even if the limits of the country are. I know in our country it can range depending on the risk, but if you want to do it without a lot of fees, you can scale up to about 75% loan to value. So the 75% mortgage and 25% equity. I think in this kind of situation to de-risk yourself a bit, possibly borrowing 50% might be handy because now you can get double the properties, right? Which,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
more
yeah.
risk, but also less risk in the fact that you have more properties lean on. So definitely something to think about. It also depends on the country because I know some countries wouldn't. Depending on how you get the money and how you're acquiring the money, that may be harder to do as well. But something to think about for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
here interest rates are not that attractive from what I've seen.
okay.
So this is why we went really wanting to go for it. But then we'll look more into it later on when we have a bit more properties and established revenue already. So then
Yeah.
we'll have something to show the banks or anyone really. So
Yeah.
then we can get maybe better rates, and then based off that, we will go into using our properties as collateral to purchase even more properties and increase our scaling speed.
Perfect. So I guess let's get into the ecosystem. Obviously, there was a question about a token, and I thank you. I am Supersonic and Surif for some questions here. I appreciate that. So I guess I don't know if you wanted me to go anywhere on the website or because I do see obviously NFTs as part of the utility, I guess, and the
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, there's not really, to be honest, yeah, there's not really much on the ecosystem.
Okay,
So on the website,
sure.
you can leave the picture that's there. That's one of our
Yeah, get the
NFTs
little
examples that
roundup of
you
everything.
guys see. That's what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
There's two of them on our website actually. That's one of the sneak peeks we kind of show everyone
nice.
so they know what we're working with.
Cool.
So full scale development of the ecosystem will start around 1 year after we mint.
Okay.
Ecosystem will involve blockchain and real world projects.
Okay.
Firstly, the blockchain side of projects is that are within the ecosystem. They will provide utility to everyone in the ecosystem. On the projects in the ecosystem will be those that can provide utility for everyone, and this utility could be on free basis, on the fact that you have an NFT that is a part of the ecosystem, or based off our token. So a project inside the ecosystem, for example, it provides some educational materials on trading or blockchain or Solidity. I don't know, something like this. Everyone in the ecosystem will be able to gain access to that. And otherwise, if you're outside of the ecosystem, it may be on a paid scheme or something like that.
So ecosystem meaning if you're an NFT holder.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're an NFT holder in the ecosystem, and
That
we'll have
opens up this
other
environment of
projects.
learning.
Yeah, and we'll have other projects joining the ecosystem, and those projects will provide utility for everyone, some sort of utility. Obviously, they'll have their own utilities as
Okay.
like the project itself, but then some sort of utility will be provided. Um,
So it
just
sounds like, and just
using,
again, just to clarify things as we go through it to make sure it's
yeah,
clear, it
absolutely.
sounds like you were, this is sort of not an afterthought, but some additional stuff you're looking to bring to kind of add more engagement with the community, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's more of like utility want to provide, and it's something further we're looking to expand into.
Okay.
Instead of us just being a real estate investment project, it will be the first project within the ecosystem which we want to develop. So
Okay.
stuff that you may get from our ecosystem from blockchain projects could be some sort of services like educational materials, as I mentioned, early access to platforms or material goods, ability to gain spot at a real life event, or gain whitelist for an upcoming project that will be involved in the ecosystem.
Okay.
That would
So it
keep you
sounds like a
engaged.
lot of it is more community building and add value to the NFT holders.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
what it's based off. It's not linked to payouts in any way.
Yeah,
Payouts
okay.
are separately planned out. That's property, and ecosystem is something extra that will develop for our holders to benefit from.
Okay, and it doesn't
And
sound like the stuff you're mentioning so far, anyways, doesn't sound like it's going to be it because that's where I was kind of concerned when I first was hearing about this. Is it?
mhm.
It sounded like it would be a cost, not necessarily to the user, but a cost to you guys, which would take from the profits. But it sounds like it's just more trying to add value and trying to create a community, a global community, to kind of grow awareness in your project as well as possibly others.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
and share utility.
Okay.
And also,
go ahead.
we allocated some budget. It's $160,000. It's allocated for blockchain investment. 60,000 is purely for the blockchain investment, like Cardano, Ethereum, Hydro Whales, Project 79, and then the $100,000 of the initial funds collected will be used for the development of the said ecosystem.
Okay. So
And
there's
then,
some money.
so I mentioned the projects that are Web3 ones, and then we have the real world ones. And the real world projects will be businesses that are located here in North Cyprus, such as beach cafes, restaurants, everything in terms of like leisure sector. Because what I personally found living here is that the niche of like entertainment niche here is relatively empty, despite the fact it's a very attractive tourist destination and the amount of tourists coming increasing yearly.
Okay.
So we would want to fill in that place, and it doesn't require much investment as everything is relatively cheap in compared to UK, USA. So
you're saying you're buying 3-bedroom apartments for 60,000? Yeah, it's cheap. For 80,000, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, my little concern with that then just is if you're going to be diversifying too far. So I almost, so are you going to be buying and trying to manage these businesses, or are you more buying the properties that these businesses and then people can rent from you?
With businesses, we are not buying them, we're investing in them.
Okay.
So we would find someone who would like to open a cafe, for example.
Okay.
Because here business is literally very good for business currently. There's not much competition here. So someone wants to open a cafe. We invest in them some amount of money. And we also give them attention. So we show our community like, here they are, like this is a good place. If you come, you visit.
Okay.
Then some of the profit they generate will go back into the ecosystem to grow it even more and develop it even more. Okay. And also the token, which we mentioned, could be used in that cafe, for example. You could go and buy yourself a coffee for the ecosystem's token.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of the plan with it. However, I would also mention that at the moment, we are, this is all in planning stage.
Okay.
So during the first year, we'll be kind of acquiring all the partnerships needed, looking with business owners who would want to participate in this. And then after 1 year, we'll start like a full stack development of the whole thing.
Okay. So really your primary focus right now, and really your only focus right now, is getting the NFTs done and the real estate investing, which is what your niche is really.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And I like to hear that. I'm not going to say I'm skeptical. I don't want to, but I mean, going into the other stuff I think it's added risk, especially going into a token, because we've seen enough tokens now that have just not garnished enough utility. I would just be cautious around there. I'm not saying don't do it or do it. Yeah. You guys have to do what's right for you. It just seems like something that I'd want to throw some caution at. It needs to be really well thought out. Otherwise, I mean, we've seen what happens with tokens. Because I really do like the real world stuff you're trying to do here, and all this stuff sounds really great. Sorry, were you saying something?
Yeah, with token, I just want to add that we won't develop the token until we can get the utility out for it.
Yeah, perfect.
So if we're not able to provide that utility in a year, then no token will come of that year, because obviously there is no need for it unless there is good utility to go with it. As we just don't want to throw a token out, as you said, that doesn't have much utility.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
no, good. That makes me happy. I was just concerned there because it's like, what the? Okay.
Yeah, I completely understand. The other concern I would personally have with something like this, it's very understandable. And we all seen examples like this. But yeah, once we get some projects into the ecosystem and they can provide high quality utility for us and for the holders, then we'll start developing the token and go into all the tokenomics of it and partnering with some professionals in that area to help us develop it correctly and efficiently.
Perfect. And again, if you're limiting how much you're putting into it, and if it really is cheap to get these started, I also don't see a problem with that. That's pretty great if you can put in very little of your, like almost make it your risk capital, because businesses
Yeah.
are hard to
Yeah,
run.
we're allocating very small amount of our funds to it,
No, that's
and
great.
it will only be started once we have all the properties like going smoothly.
Yeah.
And we'll also have people that will help us manage all of this, because we have some people here already that will help us with properties from time to time
Good,
and
good.
their management. And going into the business world, obviously, we'll have more people doing that stuff. And as I said, with businesses, we're not opening them ourselves.
Yeah.
There'll be someone who wants to open it, and we'll kind of help them to start it off and have some sort of contract with them.
Nice. So Men in the Mirror just asked this question. I obviously have a little bit of apprehension for some of this because not everybody is a real estate business person, but they're asking if you're looking to do a DAO system where the community can vote on important key points like pay structure, pay of reinvestment, future property acquisition, and so on. So do you guys have something like this that you're already setting up, or is it something you're kind of just leaving to you guys making the decisions as possibly the professionals in this industry?
So we, of course, would want to hear what the community wants, and some of the decision making will be made with the community.
Okay.
However, property-wise, most decisions we'll make ourselves, as we don't see the need for asking the community about it, as well, they're not here, they can't really know all the information for it. Not to downsize their knowledge or anything. It's just the fact we're here working with it, and we would know like what's the best thing to go for. And
no, I'm
taking the
glad to
risk
hear
on
that, because
us.
I've seen other DAOs where they're almost useless. They give decisions that almost have there's only one right answer, and it's like, what's the point of this if you're just going to give us one right answer, or
Yeah,
if it's only one
and
person?
we don't want to give the community like put on the community like the responsibility for the decision. The decision making is on us, but then stuff like regarding the payouts, we'll tell at the end of the year, this is a ROI we can provide to you.
Yeah.
Please vote on it. Do you want it, or do you want us to keep going, scaling, and provide even more ROI next year?
Yeah,
Like
the big
that will be
decisions of
decided by
like,
holders.
yeah, do we want it? Yeah, that's great, and that's a great
Yeah.
place to have it, because that's where, and I mean, unfortunately, like again, even those ones sometimes people knee jerk to the compound. But again, in this case, the compounding is not as scary for me because we're dealing with real world assets and not a token that will be compounded into zero. So,
Yeah,
no, that's
absolutely.
great. Okay. And Murdoch's stopping by. I don't know if you know him, but he's got a great YouTube channel, so you may want to check out him for another AMA down the road.
Yeah, that sounds great, actually.
So welcome, Murdoch. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, and again, I do love the fact that you guys are transparent. Again, on camera, this is the kind of stuff we need to see more in this space. And then using this real world utility of buying properties. Obviously, the hard part is I'm not part of Cyprus, so it's hard for me to research how good that economy is for this. So I don't know if there is data and stuff that you guys can put in your Discord for people that maybe know about this stuff but don't know your environment. That could be a great little thing too on the side. And I do have a few questions here. Some, I think, no offense to everybody, but some of them we either went through or are going a little bit deep, I think, than what you need to go right now. Like, you're not going to know what your net worth is going to be. So I'm just going to go through some of these.
I just wanted to also mention regarding the transparency, a little thing. On each property we acquire, we'll put out a professional report out to the community of how much it was acquired for, how much was spent on renovation or refurbishment, what area is it in, what are the projections on the gains from that property. So every acquisition will be followed up with a professional report from my co-founder Ilya, as he's an architect and he knows like the industry standards in the UK especially, which is quite high. So he will provide all of that reports out, and you will guys be able to see exactly what is purchased, how much for, what we expect from it, and being as maximally transparent as we can regarding all those purchases.
Nice. And that, yeah, actually I had that question here, and so I hadn't gotten to it yet. So thank you for beating me to it. Because yeah, I did want to know kind of how transparent you're going to be on those sides. And that's, I think, going to be hugely important as well in this environment. I mean, even, I don't know how far you guys can go with it, but I mean, even going as far as bank statements or something showing the funds and how they're being maneuvered. Because that's the
yeah, that's one of the things as well that will come out.
Perfect. Yeah, because it's hard to. The one problem with these kind of products and some of the other ones we're seeing is we don't know where the funds are going. I mean, they're leaving the contract because they have to, and I get that.
Yeah.
But then without some type of transparency or some type of system where they can show us where those funds are going, it's hard. We just have to have faith, which again, I'd love to have, but unfortunately the space is not giving us opportunities to. So if you guys are doing stuff like that, that's fantastic. So it looks like we got all the YouTubers dropping by. So Bonks dropped by, and he's, I think,
hey, Bonks. Nice
hopefully he's
to
going to
see
have
you
a chance to deep dive you guys. He definitely loves projects that are transparent and have founders that are talking on a camera. So that's great. So, and yeah, I will drop, and actually Mr. Mo just dropped in. I will drop the Discord channel actually maybe right now. I'll go grab that quickly. And then also the website we do have up here, which is actually showing up right now. And that's at Real Estate Official. I'll just copy and paste it. Why am I trying to talk it? Nobody wants to hear me butcher a URL for some reason. So there's the website, and I will drop the Discord in there momentarily because that's really your guys' first step. If you're finding some interest in what we're talking about here, if you like some of the content and some of the information that he's passing on to us, then definitely your next step is get into the Discord, do some research, talk to the team. They do have a growing Discord, which is great. And it seems like real people. They're over 1,000, which is great. And lots of discussions happening, which again, I love to see. So come on by.
Exactly.
Any questions from the audience? I would love to get some. Oh, it looks like, okay, so Yabonks, you guys have already met and gone through some stuff, so that's awesome. So then, take some time. If you guys got, again, some interest from here, please head over and subscribe to Yabonks, because once he comes on, he goes really in depth, and I appreciate his details. So he'll definitely have some good information for everyone to go through the project and find out some information. So
we're excited about AMA with Jabongs, but I've looked at some of his AMAs and he does go really deep. So I'm quite excited to kind of diving right into all the details for an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 even, knowing Jabongs. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great, and we need people like that in the space. And as Murdoch as well, like we're trying to change the space. We're, as YouTubers, and I don't want to go on a little soapbox. That's not what we're here for. We're here for you, but but it's in a way you are part of that change, because we need projects like yours where there's people that we can rely on, hopefully, or have real conversations with, and people that we can hold accountable. Because right now we're dealing with projects where we can't hold anybody accountable, and that's not good for investors. So when we have projects like this, I like to give them even more of a platform if I can, to make sure that that they're given. Is there anything else? Because again, I don't want to go too crazy. I just want to let people have an opportunity to kind of get to know you guys a bit. Is there anything that you feel like we haven't gone into detail with, or anything else you wanted to make sure that the people that haven't heard about you yet know before we let them go?
So we talked about the properties. Well, I'll just go like a quick overview of everything we mentioned. So the properties, as I said, the plan is ready to be executed. We already visited a few sites, and we know what kind of properties we will be acquiring. Of course, the final decision will be made in the given moment in time, as this market, as I said, is a developing market. So it's kind of fluctuating, not massively, but fluctuating from time to time. And regarding the ecosystem, I think I scrambled off a bit. I had it like in my head structure, but then I started going for it and started drifting away into like rabbit hole of one idea. But overall speaking, it's an ecosystem where projects have shared utility, because we believe in Web3. It's not us and them. We're all in it together. So we believe in projects providing utility, not just for the holders, but for one another, and kind of supporting each other, and be all here at the end of the day to make some money. Like when, especially investors, when they come in, they want to make money. We want to make money, and we want our holders to make money, and we want another project to make money. So why don't we just all unite and make even more money? Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that philosophy. So that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess, like I said, I did book, and I will put it on once I get the actual feed out. Okay. So actually Dr. Mo is in here. So he'd like to say, so it's kind of like a REIT, but NFT based rather than shares. And don't be sorry for the late attendance. I appreciate you coming by, Dr.
That's
Mo.
right.
And yeah, definitely check out the Discord. So I guess in a sense, yes, it's kind of like a REIT for sure. And you're holding the NFT to get access to all those investments. So I don't think that's a bad way to say it. Do you have any other explanation for that?
Well, not really. It's basically, well, correctly said.
Yep.
The NFTs are basically shares in itself. But again, apart from payouts, you get the utility that will come in later with development of the said ecosystem.
And I guess just in case people are jumping in, this is not an overnight pump. You're not going to get $1 million from this NFT. This is here to be a long-term investment, which is something, again, we're lacking. Everybody talks about being a long-term investment in the space, but really there's not enough utility for people to get any long-term out of it. But this, there definitely is. I mean, we're talking about real properties in real places, generating real returns. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Great.
also one thing I kind of forgot to mention, it's an extra thing about being transparent and extra little utility. If any of you guys want to visit North Cyprus, invest in North Cyprus, open a business here, we're absolutely open. Jump into Discord, open a ticket, contact me or my co-founder Ilya and say, look guys, I'm coming to North Cyprus. If you're just coming for a holiday, just message us and we can take you to a restaurant or show you around like some beautiful places to see. And you can get to know us in real life, So we're trying to be as transparent as possible, and that's all on free basis, obviously. Like we'd be happy to meet anyone.
So your extra utility is says tour guide of Cyprus.
In some way, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Of course,
Awesome.
there's going to be like 100 of you. I can't go one-on-one with every single one of you, but we can like get in a group and go together probably as well.
So your first business you're going to open is going to be a bus tour. Show off all the places you guys are investing in.
Well,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely. That could be an option.
That's great. Yeah, well, if there's nothing else, that's great. I think we've gotten into some good information there. I do want to see, and I want to just, for my own sake, just err on the side of caution for some of the ecosystem stuff you're doing. Not that you're asking for my advice, but I like to give it anyways. And be careful. And it sounds like you are, and I appreciate getting more understanding of the token and the stuff that's not necessarily built. It's more a desire or a plan of yours, which I like, and just be cautious with it. Other than that, though, the actual core of the project of the NFTs, buying properties, I think there's been some of that tried, but nobody's really kind of succeeded, it seems, yet. We've had a couple even rug pulls from it.
Researched the market, there wasn't much project that we could really call a competitor, because it was rather in a bit of a different shape and form. Or they kind of boomed, they happened, and there's not much info now. They just
I think we even had a rug of this kind of thing, but they weren't as transparent and open, and I don't think we had visual people that were actually showing us they're going to do it. So, and I think that's probably why they failed, is they didn't have the traction that they needed to get off the ground, instead of giving back, because that's the other thing. So I guess, sorry, before we do leave, I guess that is one question, and maybe get to the risk side of things, is what happens if the NFTs do not sell as well as you'd like? Is there a backup plan? Is there a way to create revenue just with the little amounts? Will you just kind of maybe start at a smaller scale? How do you guys go about that?
So yeah, as you mentioned correctly, we're planning to then start on a smaller scale.
Okay.
We will need like I think I was calling it was like 500 NFTs. If we get 500 out, we can already start with some sort of minimal but speed to show. And then we believe once we start acquiring, like showing people like this is really happening, we'll get more people on board and it'd be successful. I also forgot to mention one thing real quickly. We have during those years of scaling, we'll be doing monthly raffles for our holders. Okay. We have an allocated budget for that. It's not going to be touched at all. It's purely for the giveaways, and it will be monthly giveaways for holders to kind of keep you guys entertained. And also we have one giant raffle for $100,000, up to $100,000 property here in North Cyprus. I just forgot to mention that. It will happen after mint out and will be given to a random holder. The reason we do that is because, as I said, there's going to be a scaling phase. And in scaling phase, there is not going to be payouts.
No.
And it's obviously hard to trust someone that they're going to pay you in like 5, 6, 7 years later. So therefore, we're kind of giving this big chunk back to the community, to like a random holder. So he will be able to show them, like, guys, here it is. It's all here. It's all good, all real. And we hope it would also attract people, obviously, as it's a bit of a, you get $500 worth of an NFT, and then you can get a $100,000 house here in North Cyprus.
So I might be moving to some of those Cyprus. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
And I guess actually, sorry, timelines. That's one thing I didn't go through, and I apologize. So what are we looking at for at least the short-term plans? Have you already released the NFTs? Are they coming out soon? How's that working?
NFTs are like 50% completed currently.
Okay.
In our white papers, there is like a detail of what is going to involve, like how's it going to look, in like more detail, like the traits of it. But 50% of them are completed now. My co-founder Ilya, he's the one actually doing it because he's a graphic designer as well.
Oh, nice.
And he's taking care of that, and it will be ready soon. We're planning to start the mint end of February, start of March.
Okay.
Again, that may change a little, but that's kind of our plan currently. And the DApp is ready. It's just on the Gorilla network. I just haven't moved it to the Ethereum network just yet. But it's
okay, and that's
ready.
Where they're being minted is on Ethereum.
Yeah, and we're basically just waiting for the community and for full completion of NFTs, and then we're ready to mint.
Perfect. And again, I think a lot of people kind of cringe when NFTs gets when Ethereum is talked about, but the fees are much lower than they used to be. There, I think I've minted some NFTs for $3 to $6. I mean, it's not the same as the $50 to $80 to $100 before. So that's
good. Absolutely. And we'll try to avoid of not minting at the same time as other projects will, to avoid those high mint fees.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's it. I don't have any other questions in there. I do appreciate you guys coming on and giving us a little bit of a rundown of everything. And I appreciate having the opportunity to be your first live AMA, and hopefully you've gotten some good practice in going forward. As I said, guys, definitely check out the Discord, and I will put that in the description of the video when it goes live, which is pretty much right after this. And then the website as well is in the Discord. So anything you guys need, please head on over there and ask some questions of the community. I would appreciate if you head in there. Don't hesitate to @me to let me know where you came from, because it's always good to know that my videos are having an impact and helping you guys find projects that hopefully help you in your passive income kind of plays. So thanks again, Artem, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks to you as well. Thanks for hosting us. This is our first live AMA, and I think I drifted off in a few places there.
You did great. No worries.
Guys, in the Discord, just ask me. Also, we'll be doing like on a weekly basis-ish, we'll be doing domestic AMAs inside the Discord, where you will be able to ask us questions or ask me to elaborate on something you didn't understand or want to get like a better understanding of. So yeah, thanks to Pocket Aces again. It was great to be here with you today. And jump in our Discord as well. We'll love to see you there.
I'm in there, and we'll have some chats later on. Awesome. Thanks so much, and have yourself a great day, everybody.
All right.